Mario Puzo's The Godfather. This is 446 pages and 9 books. Each book focuses on a different family member of the Corleone family. So, this is a very integral part of American culture, big in the 90s after The Godfather Part 3 came out. As a movie. I haven't seen any of the movies. I have never read any of the books. I was reading a news story online, and it was an interview with the author, and he was like, hey, I wanted to do movie screenwriting, and he bought a book about playwriting and screenwriting, and in it, it essentially summarized it as see The Godfather Part 1. So he was like, hey, I if this is the way it's done, then I can give it a go. So really enjoyed this book. It was almost like a mystery thriller. You kind of want to see what happens to the family and how they evolve and handle these events. So it opens with the wedding. The main character, or I guess the family is all the main characters, and you get a different one in each book. And I think it takes 2 or 3 of them to get to the Godfather himself, which is kind of what drove me through the beginning. Through the end, I really wanted to see what happened to the whole family as they kind of grow and evolve. But, I think it takes about 100 pages before you get to the chapter with the Don, the Godfather, the main character. And then I think it's like 200 pages in, and you're meeting, the meeting of all of the head of the family. So there's the 5 families in New York, and they are quote unquote gangs, mafia families. And it's really centered around favors. There is the government, the police, all that, but really there's things outside of that, right? Can you go to somebody and say, hey, I need this done immediately? You're going to be told, hey, wait in line, go talk to this agency, whatever, I'm in trouble, I need help, I need this thing. You go to one of these families, they do you this favor, and in return, you do them a favor down the road. So there is a lot of it is loyalty. They talk about gifts and continued favors and staying in the good graces. But really the opening scene kind of sets the stage in this wedding, the Don's daughter. And so, there's this, I can make you an offer. I can't refuse an offer on the day of my daughter's wedding, all that stuff. And so most of the families are Sicilian, and so the main character, his parents, or at least his father, was murdered by the Mafia in Sicily. And so he immigrates to America to survive, changes his last name to Corleone, which is the town from which he came, and starts his life. He's got his wife and his family, and then one day, a couple of different incidents happen to him in New York, and he ends up being a fixer of problems. And so he helps solve these problems for these people, and it ends up turning into an enterprise. And then we see the modern day Corleone family, where the goal, the hope is that their kids will be legitimate and no longer part of, a mafia family. They'll be regular citizens, and I think they say senators, presidents, they say that multiple times throughout the book. And I don't know, I liked that idea, but at the same time, it was kind of like, here's this wild adventure, and you really get into the nuts and bolts. I wanted more from the Don chapter. Like I was expecting more details, and there was a lot of, I don't want to say hand wavy, but there was a lot of jumps from section to section, like, oh, the enterprise grew like a whole, 5 to 10 year jump, but really lots of characters, lots of violence, lots of sex in this. But another thing is the layers, right? So you got the Don. He has a manager, essentially. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it in Sicilian, but and then that manager gives the orders to the captains, and then the captains have their button men, and then the button men have the foot soldiers. And throughout that's the organization. So the Don really can say, hey, do this thing for me, but then doesn't know anything about the details. And so, they might get involved, but the layers of protection. So if somebody goes after the family, right? And if somebody gets arrested, there's so many layers that they don't know about the details of any crimes or making your bones. There's lots of, like not code words, but it's kind of hush hush, like this is the way we do things. But really, there's a moral code that people follow, and it's less about following the law and more about doing favors for others. So this is the setup. It's a good book. It's embedded in American culture. I have not read any, or I've not read any of the sequels, and I've not seen any of the movies. This is a lot of fun, and it's a good book. Lots of popular cultural references spring from this. Like I said, it's embedded in popular culture. And as always, remember to buy your books used or digital.